Hey guys, welcome back to Crypto Clan! Today we'll be talking about how Hedera may be the ideal platform to power Web 3.0 infrastructure. On the 11th of November, the head of privacy strategy at Hedera, Deborah Farber, published a white paper entitled Architecturing for Privacy and Data Protection on Hedera. The paper outlined limitations in current web protocols, whereby the initial innovators of the internet developed the technology as a means of sharing information. However, the developers did not build the internet with privacy or security protocols in mind. Limitations in the security and privacy associated with current internet frameworks has led to the web's architecture being based on standalone computers, where organizations store data centrally on a server that is sent or retrieved by a client. Whenever a user interacts with the internet, data associated with the user is typically sent and stored on a server owned and operated by a service provider. This in turn leads to users losing control of their own data to tech giants. The centralization of personal data in the hands of tech giants has led to imbalances in the power of individual data, whereby internet giants will use such information as a means of pushing advertising that tracks internet users, which has led to increases in surveillance capitalism. Furthermore, the reliance of centralized storage has led to sensitive information in regards to internet users being breached by malicious entities. These factors has led to increases in the distrust in centralized authorities, which control and store personal datasets associated with internet activity. The hyper-centralization of data storage, which has led to privacy and security constraints, has led to global researchers and developers looking into innovations which could make the internet more decentralized. Such developments have been coined Web 3.0 initiatives. Web 3.0 developments involve the internet becoming more autonomous, intelligent and open. It would interconnect all the data in a decentralized way, a huge jump from the current system where the data is stored in centralized repositories. Web 3.0 developments have been growing in momentum since the advent of distributed ledger technology and the innate characteristics which come with DLT, namely smart contracts, DeFi, dApps, and improvements in security measures. Distributed ledger technology, namely blockchain and hashgraph, will remove the need for intermediaries during transactions. The re-architecturing of the web further democratizes its control and aims for individuals to manage their own identities and personal data. With a number of DLT projects vying to be the go-to platform for Web 3.0 developments, Hedera may be the best option for such initiatives. One factor which may make Hedera an ideal platform for Web 3.0 developments is the nature by which users interact with the Hedera network, namely through Hedera accounts. Hedera accounts serve as a pseudonymous identifier such as 0.0.1234. This pseudonymous account ID lives on the ledger and is controlled by asymmetric cryptographic keys. This model, which is shared across all blockchains and public ledgers, encourages the option to remove the typical Web 2.0 interaction of an email, password and other associated personal metadata required to interact with an application. Thus, Hedera accounts limit the amount of data stored by a centralized party to the bare minimum. With Hedera accounts being cryptographically hashed, details associated with individuals, namely email and password details, will be absolved, whereby internet users will be able to interact with the internet without inputting personal information. This factor will minimize the need for centralized entities storing an individual's datasets. Thus, the internet will become more decentralized. The provision of dApps, which represent individual businesses, will also lead to the sole collection of essential details in regards to personal data. This factor will lead to reductions in the amount of regulated data you collect up front, thus lowering the regulatory and privacy compliance burdens needed to protect and secure that data. The Hedera Consensus Service offers a number of qualities which makes it an ideal platform to support Web 3.0 developments. Developers and users alike can encrypt messages sent through the Hedera Consensus Service. This will lead to improvements in the confidentiality of personal data and minimize data collection as a whole, with the Hedera Consensus Service providing the potential to encrypt personal datasets for individual users. The Hedera network is also able to adhere to global data protection requirements, namely those associated with the collection of personal data in the EU, whereby encrypted personal data needs to be recorded. The Hedera network complies with such measures, namely through the network's mirror nodes. Mirror nodes are read-only nodes which receive information directly from the Hedera Consensus Service. They offer the ability for the broader Hedera ecosystem and individual application owners to store the entire history of the ledger. The provision of mirror nodes will enable dApps actively using the Hedera network to comply with regulatory frameworks, while simultaneously providing surface, privacy and security. The Hedera token service also provides parameters which enables privacy and security for users, and in extension acting as an ideal platform for Web 3.0 developments, with NFTs looking increasingly likely to be a centerpiece in a number of industries around the world, namely in the case of real estate tokenization and the tokenization of stocks. Hedera's tokenization service offers a number of features which makes it an ideal platform for Web 3.0. The minting of NFTs on Hedera are pseudonymous in nature, since NFTs are linked to the owner's account ID. To minimize risks to privacy exposure, global data protection regulations require that companies only collect and process the minimum personal data necessary. The processing of minimal personal datasets associated with Hedera's tokenization service will limit the exposure of individual datasets to the overall market, thus improving security and privacy. As well as the technical components associated with the Hedera network, Hedera's governance structure may be another driving factor which could push the platform into being a powerhouse in Web 3.0 protocols, whereby the constant updates and changes to regulation in regards to the internet, a team would be required to actively adhere to such parameters, and updates to the network would have to be made to maintain such standards. Those responsible for network governance need technical knowledge so they can competently manage the platform's underlying software. They need business and economics expertise so they can drive business operations of the ecosystem. They need legal expertise to help navigate the evolving regulatory environment. In other words, the network should be governed by a decentralized group of globally recognized industry leaders, representative of every market in the world. As part of this, the Hedera Governing Council is well positioned to prioritize the privacy needs required to meet global regulations best today and in the future, as well as the number of features associated with Hedera outlined in the mentioned white paper. Hedera is directly associated with the Internet Standards Organization for the World Wide Web in the World Wide Web Consortium, or W3C. Hedera's link to W3C involves the DLT project being a direct member of the Web Payment Security Interest Group, which is primarily geared to enhance the security and interoperability of web payments. The group pursues its mission by creating a forum for organizations to define areas of collaboration and identify gaps between existing technical specifications in order to increase compatibility amongst different technologies. The Web Payment Security Interest Group includes a number of notable members and companies participating in providing insights to web payment infrastructure. Participating companies which will directly contribute to discussions surrounding web payment infrastructure include the likes of the Bank of America, MasterCard, Visa, Microsoft, Ripple and Hedera Hashgraph. Hedera's involvement in such an initiative may have been promoted, namely due to Hedera offering minimal fees in regard to transaction validation, whilst simultaneously providing a high transaction throughput, whereby the Hedera network is able to process over 10,000 transactions per second, and the network is able to validate such transactions at a fee amounting to $0.0001. Hedera's impressive innate qualities is coupled with the network being the most secure amongst proof-of-stake DLTs, whereby the network offers asynchronous Byzantine fault tolerance. With Hedera's high degree of security, coupled with the network offering high transaction throughputs at minimal expenses, Hedera could be an ideal platform in facilitating transactions over the internet, whereby Hedera's HBAR token could be the underbelly for payment processing. What are your thoughts on Hedera? Do you think Hedera is an ideal platform for Web 3.0 developments? Let us know your views in the comments below. Thank you for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, subscribe and click on the notification bell. Let us know your views in the comments below. Thank you for watching and we'll see you in the next video.